Hello, focus friends. I had a friend when I was young who did something very impressive. He didn't have any vocational training. He left school, didn't go to university, and really started to feel the grind of working at boring jobs. So what did he then do? He got himself a camera, an SLR, and this was before digital. He bought himself a bucket full of film and a book on photography, which at the time was the seminal book covering all the main points of how a camera works and how to take photographs. He wrote down a list of all the variable parameters for each setting that the camera had in rows and columns in the notebook, and he created a fine-grained matrix where each value was altered in relation to the others, so that he could see the effect that it had as he took photographs. He then read each row, training and practicing activating the settings in that row as quickly as he could, and he kept doing it until it just became second nature and he could do it really quickly. He did this for several days. It was boring, but it was effective. He just focused hard and kept going. In a short space of time, through a short period of disciplined focus, he turned himself into a technically proficient photographer. Then he went out and he found himself a limited set of scenarios to photograph. He changed a setting, took a shot, noting the setting for each shot, changed the setting again, just a small amount, took another shot, noting the setting again, and kept repeating this process. In these days, of course, you couldn't see the results immediately, but by doing this and taking notes as he went, he was then able to know what each setting had achieved. Of course, he had to process the film in a dark room to get the results, but his detailed notes enabled him to learn the effect that each setting was having. Exposure, focus, film speed, etc. were all methodically tested. He then spent time checking each photograph, making notes which setting combinations worked best for any given scene or effect that he wished to produce. So this provides a great example of committing to the training process. It's very good for us to do. It nucleates learning, and if we do it with commitment, it can bootstrap a new skill entirely, and it can do it quite quickly. After having done this, he then moved from London to California and became a very well-known photographer in Hollywood. His life has been full, rewarding, and comfortable, all because he focused for a few days in a nucleated way, learning something really well to a level of proficiency that many longer trained professional photographers fail to ever achieve. And bear in mind, he wasn't even a photographer before this point. Similarly, earlier in my career, there was a designer that I knew who learned every shortcut in Photoshop, the photo manipulation software. He did the same as my friend in photography, but practiced being able to do any combination of things in Photoshop as fast as it's possible to get them done. He ensured that he learned the application inside out. It's a complex app, and it's hard, and it's a bit daunting, but also if you focus on it, learning it in a number of days is entirely achievable. It's interesting just how few people really focus on gaining such a level of proficiency, even though it can be done relatively quickly. Similarly, his productivity was head and shoulders above all his peers. All professionals tend to be fast, but none I know were as fast or got as close to being as fast as this guy, because he learned the interface and the combinations of processes that can be applied to images inside out. He too secured an extremely rewarding career. His proficiency enabled creativity too, because he had an unfettered mind at ease with the tool that he was using. The point of these two examples is that choosing carefully where to apply focus and then blitzing the learning process for a short but intense period can have a massively outsized effect. Today's objective is to consider if there are any similar nucleated tasks that you know of where comprehensive learning can produce a similar result, and then maybe consider adopting a similar strategy yourself. Simple Focus provides a quick-to-use self-improvement checklist. See your progress at a glance. Acquire the habit of self-improvement daily, with a morning checklist, objective of the day, and an evening review. View and prioritize objectives for the positive habits you'd like to form. Great video content appears daily in the magazine, and when you see something you like, add it to your objectives.